What up, crew? In this episode, I'm going to show you how to make a custom wasteboard for your Carvey. Let's check it out. Joe P. Kirchman here, and this t-shirt segment is brought to you by Capes of the Czech Republic. Because we made a special box for Mo in the last video, and since we're both from the Czech Republic... Anyway, nobody really cares about your t-shirts, Joe. So what we're here to see is the Carvey wasteboard upgrade. It comes with a pre-installed wasteboard that's in inches. Sorry to all of us metric lovers out there. But I needed to make my own customized board for a special project of making a box in another video. So then, ta-da! This is what I made. I took a piece of MDF that is the same thickness, that's pretty important, and just drew out a pattern of what I needed so that I could have an exact duplicate of the same shape. Also, the position of those 6 holes is important because that's where the screws that attach the board to the metal frame go into, and those have to be precise. The screw heads are countersunk into the board so that they don't stick up when the router bit is going over, but that's pretty much the only exact requirements we need to take care of. The clamps that are going to be securing the workpiece use an M5 thread, so I just got Harrison Silverdale's M5 taps. The exact number is 20130 if you care. So the Czech caped carver started drilling some holes on the perimeter of the wasteboard. You see, the clamps for Carvey are inset a little bit. I still gave the holes about a ½ inch or a couple centimeters from the edge of the entire workpiece, just so I could play it a little bit safe. I'm drilling these holes from the underside of the wasteboard, and so I'm gonna need to countersink these holes for the metal taps to go into. I don't want to have those sticking out. I found out it was better to countersink a little bit more than necessary, just so that the metal would not stick out. When screwing in these taps, I do it by hand just so that I know how much torque I need to put in, and so I don't strip those threads. They're very delicate, and that MDF can easily get chewed up. I made sure that they were fairly snug, but I didn't want to over-tighten it too much. But there's no need to tighten them in so much that they couldn't move, because on the top side you're threading in an M5 screw, and it's just there to hold down the material. I'd never used these before, but they worked out really well. Now that I had the important perimeter already drilled out and screwed in, I then wanted to put just an assortment of different holes around the board itself, not in any particular pattern, just enough so I had everything covered, and if certain work pieces had an odd shape to them, then I would be able to clamp it down. I sometimes run into this problem with the Carvey because the clamps aren't long enough and they can't reach. It can be kind of annoying and difficult to have the workpiece flat and flush on the board. This can affect the carve because the router bit thinks that the top is flush even though it's not. I'm just drilling in the holes randomly, and I have 30 of these little taps, but if there's a spot that needs another hole in the future, then I'll just take out the board and drill it and add it in later. The drill bit size that I was using for these holes is 5/16. Oh yeah, sorry I'm in Imperial, I just didn't have any metric drill bits with me at the time. But the most important bit you'll need is that countersink bit. Alright, so after I screwed in all of my little taps that I had, I gave it a quick little sanding off camera and it looked great. The front side had some rough edges as well that I sanded, and all that was left was to install it inside the Carvey. There are only 6 little bolts that hold the wasteboard in place, and all you need to do is unscrew them. I gotta add that my one-handed removal wasteboard skills have improved dramatically. And in comes the new one. It fits like a fist in the eye, and all you need to do is tighten up those 6 bolts again. It looks beautiful, and I tested out a couple carves and it worked great. However, there was one thing missing. As you remember, the original wasteboard comes with a nice ink print of Carvey. However, because this was a blank canvas, we could customize it to whatever we wanted. And since this project is a collaboration for Mo and myself, I came up with the Customized Mojo logo, which the trademark is still pending over. This works fine, but if your workpiece is larger and in the middle of the entire wasteboard, then it's going to be covered up. And since we are in a world of over-branding and everything needs to have its own image, I wrote it on the front of the piece just so that we're reminded every day. It turned out really good, but next time I would make it even a little bit wider on the sides. You have a little bit more room in the Carvey for that. minding the wire on the left side. Other than that, let's carve out a quote.